there's that. And then we'll start standing. So when we're ready, we'll just start with equal standing. The feet are close together, definitely in from hip width, the big toes pointed forward. And then feel the balance of weight in the feet and see if you can move some of that weight forward so it's not all on the heel. And then coming up the leg, engage the thigh muscles, the calf muscles, holding onto the leg bones. And let the tailbone drop a little bit. So the smallest tuck to the tailbone is to lengthen at the sacrum, the low lumbar. And we'll use the hands. We'll just rub over the core, kind of massaging in big circles down onto the tops of the thighs. And we'll give the low back a rub maybe. And when we're ready, we'll bring the hands forward. We'll come low into the hips. And for the inhale, right up the center line. Have the elbows pull the shoulders and then release the arms, reaching. Staying tall as we exhale. Keeping the weight of the shoulders from just sinking onto our ribs. And with this exhale, as we bring the arms down, let's just bring the arms to shoulder height, sweep them forward, bend the knees, and then push forward through the hands, reaching out, melting over, releasing the head. And when it's time for an inhale, just run the hands up the legs. And we'll bring ourselves tall and then right up the center line. And same exhale, swinging the arms forward, pressing out and melting over. On this inhale, let's take the gaze upward, reaching for an extra moment, and then we'll exit with the same exhalation. And we'll do one more, just like the last. Now, whenever we're released forward, hanging down, just pausing for an extra breath. And let's take the hands behind the knees and just rubbing up and down, above and below the knees. And then we'll come tall. So we'll run the hands up the legs, onto the low belly and up the center line. And when we're ready, on the out breath, the arms sweeping forward, pushing forward, melting over. Making sure our neck is relaxed. And then lower down on the legs, around the ankles, and the lower shins. Again, we'll just rub around the joint. And then let's bring the hands up, but just to knee height. Use the hands around the knees. We'll keep the knees in contact and then sink the hips down. Take the hips underneath and with the exhale, push the vertebra back. Spread the elbows, lift the neck. And when we inhale, move the hips back and lift the heart. Lengthen along the back and just tip the tailbone in. And we come to our exhale, just ease the back neutral. And then let's go right into a little circle for the knees. We want to work with both directions. And then returning into the center, letting the hips lower down a little bit. And from here we'll come tall. So as we breathe in, slide the hands up the center line. Keep coming up with the shoulders and have the shoulders pull us tall. And we'll stay up as we breathe out. And once we're tall here, we'll take our feet hips width apart. Still thinking of the big toes forward, hands on the hips, bend the knees, lengthen the back body, and go right into a hip circle. Working with both directions. And then when you come into center, let's pause and we'll draw some figure eights. So looping out to one side through the center, looping to the other. And then pausing in center again so we can reverse direction. And then pausing. When it feels balanced, we'll come centered. On the exhale, slide the hands down the thighs, just above the knees. We're going to lean a bit of weight on our hands. Bring the hips underneath and press the vertebra back, lifting at the neck. And changing the shape of the back on the in-breath. The chest forward and up, the hips back, and then tip the tailbone in. On our out-breath, let's tuck under again. And on the in-breath, simply come neutral. And then at this place, let's create another circle at our diaphragm. And circling the diaphragm around the spine, allowing arms and shoulders up the neck to respond, getting both directions. And when it feels balanced, let's just pause in neutral. And then from here, as we breathe out, we're going to slide the hands further down the legs and simply melt over. And we're going to run the hands up the back of the legs. So see if we can reach from the ankles up to the tops of the thighs. And then the sides of the legs, insides and outsides. And then when we're ready to, let's bring ourselves tall again, running the hands up the legs, lifting up, right up our center line. And we'll stay tall. We have our exhale. So we'll bring the feet close together again. And then simply lift up the right knee and then the left knee. As we lift the legs, drop the hips internally. Have that sinking feeling at the tailbone and lift up along the spine. Now, once the right leg's up again, just pause for a moment, open it outward, and then just a comfortable path back down. Now, when we bring the right leg up, take it outward and then take the foot back behind the left and see if the left hand can touch the foot. Same, both sides. Let's see if we can tap the foot here. So we'll do that once more for each side. And then when you bring the right up again, keep it in front, take the foot over to the left and see if you can touch with the opposite hand. Maybe it's possible to grab the foot for a moment and just hold for a moment. So after we do a left, let's pause for a sec here. And then we'll bring the right up again and keep the knee in front and see if the opposite hand can get hold of the knee. And we'll just lift that knee a little higher. Now, next time the right one comes up, have the same hand, the right hand hold the knee. And then for the left hand takes, well, the shin. Let's go below the knee where we hold. Okay, so after a left, just pause for a sec. Now we'll bring up the right again, we'll open it out, take the foot back, and see if this opposite hand can get hold of the foot for a moment. And then simply release. Left comes up, goes out, reaches back, opposite hand. We'll see if we can get the foot for a moment and then release. So as we do this, take advantage potentially of a chair or a table, fingertips touching the wall. I'm just playing a little bit with some of the possibilities. Okay, so whenever we do a left from there, let's just pause for a sec. And then we're going to take our feet wider apart, about shoulder width, and then swing the heels outward a bit, let the knees soften, and just fine tune through the feet, the knees, the hips, so we're comfortable and we have the feeling of dropping our hips. And then we're going to put the hands on the hips and simply take shoulders side to side. So we're going to keep the hips relatively still. Okay, let's pause in the center. And then release the arms, bring the fingers up, and fingers are on the sternum here. And we'll send the elbows out to the side, minimizing the movement in the hip. And we're going to pause in center again. And then we're just going to send the palms out forward. So press out in the palms and then rotate the arms. And we rotate all the way around. So our fingers are pointed down. And just adjust the shoulders. So the shoulders can move here as we press in the palms, and then lift the spine up. Maybe sink the hips again. And let's work side to side. So turn the right fingers back up and in and take the right elbow back. Push the left palm outward. We'll keep the face forward. Hips are forward. And simply let the shoulders rotate and the ribs turn. Now the arm that goes out straight, just explore some different heights. So get a couple of times where we get that hand above shoulder height. And then explore a couple of times where that straight arm goes below the shoulder, down toward hip height, waist height. And then let's come really about the height of the diaphragm. Okay, and we'll do a last set. So just at shoulder height again. And then when you're ready to, we'll have both arms forward. And then we'll simply let the arms go wider, float up above the shoulders. We'll just take a breath or two when you move out through the palms, drop the tailbone, lengthen in the back. And then relax the arms and let the elbows bend. The fingertips will come to the shoulders. We'll just go right into a handful of circles. And then when we're ready to, we'll bring the elbows up closer together, reach the fingertips onto the upper back here and lightly press through the fingertips, and then drop the elbows and drag the fingers over the shoulders, over the collarbones, and then float the elbows up again, walk the fingers back. So a gentle but clear pressure through the fingers, over shoulders, down to below the collarbones, back up again. Okay, and this time when we take the hands up, will be a little different. We're just gonna rub the fingertips up along the neck, just to the sides of the spine, a couple of times here, and then a little wider, so kind of coming up to below the ear, and then a little more forward, kind of each side of the throat, and then just above the collarbones. We'll just rub a little in this area. Just a gentle pressure again. And then use the fingers below the collarbones. See if you can define out to the edge of the shoulder here, define in above the collarbone. And then when we go wide, we'll let the fingers creep back up just above the collarbone on the shoulder. Elbows are apart, and now turn the right elbow forward. And then the left. And then after the left goes forward, just pausing, facing forward, and now put the fingertips on the back of the head. So now we'll bring the left elbow forward and we'll end up turning to the right. And then we'll come to the center again, and then we'll turn ourselves to the left. Now, when we turn so that we've gone to the left side, pause there, drop the left elbow down, lift the right elbow up, and then reversing. Let's drop the right elbow, lift the left, and then coming tall, returning forward to the front, around to the right. Our right elbow dips down, our left lifts, and then we reverse here at the side. And we're going to come neutral and then forward. And then just reach the arms out and up. We'll take the arms close to the ears. We're going to rotate through the arms, press up in the palms, let the shoulders lift. See if you can get the arms and shoulders to lift your ribs a little bit, and then let the hips drop down. Stay in touch with the feet all the way down the legs. And then from here, let's just release the arms down. Let's change our legs. So start to lift the weight out of the heels, let the legs lengthen up. So we can float the heels just off the mat. And then return the feet. And now let's work the heels, the feet close together. So pull the heels in, then swing the feet in, pull the heels in. Okay. So give yourself a moment. Feel the balance of weight in the feet. And then the left leg, just step the leg back, put the foot flat, let the front knee bend. Know where our hips are. They're going to be turned a bit, but that feeling of squared, stepping up, other leg. So we don't want to go so far back, right, that our hips turn sideways. That's further back than we want to go. We just want that natural reach back. And just giving ourselves a handful of these on each side, handful of sets. And after right, pausing. So let's add to this. When we're ready to take the left back, from here, lift the heel, lower the knee, straighten up, straighten the leg, and then step up. So we'll just add some steps here. Leg goes back straight, and then the heel pivots up, the knee bends down. We straighten back up, and we come forward. So after a right, we'll pause for a sec. So we can adapt this, right? As the balance comes online, as the muscles warm up, we can potentially just go right onto the ball of the foot. The heel doesn't touch, bend the knee and step back. So for ourselves, there's a couple of options there. And, some days, one set of variations is useful. So after the right leg goes back, we'll just pause for a moment here. So let's go a little further, and we're going to put the knee that goes back, we're going to put it all the way to the ground. So when you're ready, taking the leg back, taking the knee down, and we'll pause here for a little bit. So make sure the knee has padding if necessary. Sometimes we have our yoga mat on a hard surface, and it's not enough to support the knee. So provide padding as we need to. And when we're ready, we'll face forward. We'll bring the palms together. And then the back leg, that hand's going to slide down the front arm, slide all the way down across the chest, and the elbow's going to poke back, and we're going to look toward that elbow. And then slide the hand forward, and we turn, and we're face forward again. And let's play with the other side. The hand slides down the straight arm and the elbow goes back. We look toward it. And then let's do this once more, both sides. And then once we've done those 2 sets, we're going to release. So one way to do it is take the hands up and use that energy to lift up and then step forward and have a moment, find the feet, and then we'll take the opposite leg back. Bend the knee, take the knee down. We'll always give ourselves a moment to make sure that knee is protected. And when we're ready to move, both hands straight up from the shoulders, the palms touching, and working on the side, the back leg, we'll send that arm back. We'll bring it forward and switch. And we get this 2 sets. Once more. And then when we're complete, we'll have the arms together for a moment and bring the arms up, bring the leg up, and then simply step up. And we're going to take the left leg back again, put the knee down. Now, this time, the front leg, take that arm down on the ground on the inside. And then the back arm, press the elbow up. And then take the hand to the mat. Let's see if we can get both hands flat on the mat. See if the front knee can go forward a little bit. And then once again, push the elbow up. And then back down. And maybe the hands go forward a little bit more. The knee goes forward a little bit more. And then again, the elbow will poke up. And back down. And then when we're ready to leave, we'll put both hands on the front thigh and then lift up, step up from there. And then we'll take the other leg back. We'll bend the knee down. Okay, the front hand, let's just touch it down. The back elbow, press it up. And then take that hand down, both hands on the mat, forward a little bit. And then again, the back elbow presses up. And then back down. We'll walk the hands forward a little bit more, let the knee go forward a bit. And when you're ready, elbow goes up. And we'll take it back down. And then to leave, we'll get both hands on the front thigh and simply stretch out the back leg, step up. And just take a moment. We're going to go back to taking back the left leg. When we're ready, step the leg back. Let's lower the knee down. Okay. So bring both arms out in front. Rotate the arms, push forward. And we'll take the back arm up vertical. We'll press out in both directions. Now drop the tailbone, lengthen up the back body. And now this front arm, lower it down, bring it into the center line, and the upper arm, reach over. So we're leaning to the side. Want to minimize leaning forward, minimize leaning back, and just try to go to the side. Gently pushing out through the palms, and this front arm, keep it off the front leg. Lengthen the neck, so the eyes are going to look downward. And when we inhale, we'll come vertical. We'll bring both arms forward for a moment, and then hands on the front leg. And when we're ready, just coming back up. And take the other leg back, knee goes down. Once we've got the back knee comfortable, both arms forward, pressing, dropping the tailbone. And then the back arm reaches up, lengthen the spine here. Really engage out through both palms. And then this front arm, drop it down in the center line, pressing outward, downward, the upper arm pressing across. Now, don't let the hips distort. Keep the hips forward. And then let's come upright. That front arm, bring it back out from the shoulder. And then the upper arm, bring it down. We've got both at shoulder height. And then to release, we'll just touch the front thigh, step back up. Okay. And then when we're ready to move again, we're going to go back to the left leg, stepping back, bend the knee down. And now put both hands down onto the mat. And when you've got the hands on the mat, lift the back knee up and just work that foot back a little further. So we're in a long lunge here. Back leg is straight, both hands on the mat. And all we'll do is let the front knee go a little further forward. And as we take the front knee a little further forward, connect to the back heel, gently pressing back. And then keeping the hands where they are, move the front knee back, lift the hips up, let the head look down and back at that back foot. And then send that front knee forward again. And take the hips up, move the hips back. And then bring the knee forward, put that back knee back on the mat. We'll bring the hands to the front thigh. And then from here, let's step forward, come standing. And then we're going to go right to the other side. We're going to take the right leg back. We're going to bend the knee down. We'll put both hands on the mat, both palms flat. We'll lift the back knee. We extend the back leg a bit so we find a long lunge. And then let the front knee move forward a bit. And then lifting the hips, sending the hips back. At this point, we look for the back foot. And then move that front knee forward again. And coming back. And then when the knee goes forward, lower the back knee. Bring both hands onto the front thigh so we're tall here. Just take a moment to place the hips. And then when you're ready to step forward. Okay. So let's play once more with this, only we'll use a different entry point. So we're going to start with the left leg and reach the toes straight out in front and glide the foot around so it's off from the hip and glide the foot in and slide the foot up the standing leg, slide it back down, and now have the toes reach back. And when we've gone back as far as we can, we'll put the heel down. So we've got a slightly wider stance. And now from here, take the arms out in front. Imagine catching a beach ball and then catch it between the hands. Keep that distance between the hands. Take the arms up above shoulders, turning toward the back leg. Sweep the arms low, coming forward. And then over to the other side, up a bit, back a bit. Drop that back elbow deeply, swing forward again. And let's repeat this. It's kind of a figure eight. Drawing it out with our beach ball. And we're going to do 3 loops. And really let the arms, elbows, wrists, and shoulders carry that ball. When you're ready, you're back at the front and just toss the ball away. Keep the arms out there. And then the back leg, just throw it out in front. And then pause for a moment, balance the weight in the feet. And then for the other leg out in front where the toes reach, and then skate along to the outside, come in and up the standing leg, and then back down and have the toes creep back. At some point, we put the heel down, we bend the front knee, and then we catch the ball again. And we turn toward our back leg, and then we sweep low as we come forward, up again when we're in front and round to the other side. Letting the arms, letting the joints respond so we can keep the hands equally on the ball. Okay, we want a total of 3. So once we're finished and we're forward again, we'll simply throw the ball out. So keep the arms probably above the shoulders and toss the back leg up. And then we'll just pause here for a moment. And then let's take the legs wide apart. So really play with some distance, but never go beyond where you feel strong, powerful in the legs. So there's our limit. And then when we're ready to turn out the right leg, bend the knee, reach the fingertips, just touch down with the fingertips. Let the hips drop a bit here. And then push up, push on that front foot, that right foot to come up. Adjust the angle on the right hip, adjust the angle on the left hip. Let the knee bend, touch the fingertips, and then let the hips drop a bit. And then push with that left leg back over to the right. So keep adjusting the angles in the hips. Pushing up. We're going to go to the left, same thing. So when you get your fingertips on the ground, when you get the body low, play a little bit with what you can adjust in that left leg to allow a little drop and not strain the knee or the ankle. So a couple extra breaths on this side. And then let's push up. Let's get a couple of extra breaths over on the right side. So get some support from the fingertips and then start doing some adjusting in this right leg, looking for angles where the hips drop. Even put a hand behind if you want, or reach hands underneath if you want, or lift the straight leg if you want. But coming up when you're ready, pushing up. Okay, now bring the feet closer. Hands on the thighs, and slide the hands down to just above the knees. Now, we need to adjust our feet here so we feel stable. We can drop in the hips, we can feel stable. And so you get the forearms on the thighs and use the forearms to gently keep the knees from rolling in. And then just keep dropping in the hips. So there's real strength through the forearms. Really letting the hips sink down. And then let's get out of here. Walk the hands forward, land the hands, drop the knees. And we're going to bring ourselves down into tabletop. So we've dropped down into some version of tabletop. And then we'll just get a few cats and dogs and allow the spine to move backwards, forwards. And as the spine's moving backwards and forwards, so you can get a feeling of rippling along the spine, sending a wave up the spine from the base of the skull to the tip of the tailbone, simply undulating in the back body. And then from here, let's come seated. So we'll simply come where we've got our shins crossed. And see if we can move the feet away from each other. So think of the feet heading underneath the knees. Feel where the torso's placed, and see if we can keep the torso above the hips, have some energy in the belly to drop the tailbone, and taking length up the back body. Okay, let's bring the palms together in front and just let the elbows become buoyant, forearms are buoyant, palms stay together, and we'll tip the fingertips forward and let them point downward and allow the arms to move about as we point fingertips down, and then back up and then towards us. And then again, let the arms respond. Just playing with different placements and then going through a cycle, forward and down, and then up and in. Okay, and then when we're ready to, we'll pause with the fingertips pointed up. And then lift the elbows, lift the shoulders, let the arms float higher. And then bring the palms above the head. And feel where the torso is. It's easy to find ourselves leaning back. Feel where the spine is and see if you can lengthen in a straight line, a vertical line, up from the hips, along the base of the skull. And then allow the hands just to slowly float up higher above the head. And keep lifting the shoulders and shoulder blades. Don't let them sink, lift them up. Now, at some point, the palms may need to separate. That's fine. Simply keep the fingertips touching and keep that lift. It's have the face forward, but let the eyes rest downward as we keep lifting here. Okay, let's let the elbows bend and we'll see if we can slowly lower the hands and see if we can keep all that length we've created in the back body, that lift in the shoulders as the hands come down. And then once they're close to the head, we'll just bring them forward and then we'll release the hands and we'll touch our fingertips on the ground. And now let the fingertips walk forward. And we just keep walking forward, but stopping, we may find places where the body needs to pause for a moment while it adjusts internally. And lengthening our neck as we come a bit lower. Okay, we're going to come back up. So dragging the fingers, coming up with the in-breath. And then let's switch the legs. So we've got one shin in front. Let's bring the other shin forward. So once we've changed the legs, settling the hips, that little drop at the tailbone, taking length in the back body. And when we're ready, just on the inhale, sweep the arms out, float them up. And think of the arms, the hands, they're up there, a little wider than the shoulders. And here, just gently pressing up, avoiding leaning back, face forward, eyes resting down. But with the arms just a bit wider than the shoulders, really bring the shoulders, the shoulder blades up. Use that effort to help bring the ribs up. And we're going to exhale, releasing the hands down. The fingertips are going to land on the mat. And they're going to start walking forward. Coming down in stages. And now let's come back up. So drawing the fingertips in, coming up as we inhale. Take the hands behind. We're going to release the legs. I'll get a little shake here. And then landing the feet, let's stretch out the legs. And we're going to keep a little weight on the hands. Take the legs apart where they're comfortable and then just gently bouncing the knees. And then see if you can just swing the hands forward, take them off the mat, take the weight out of the hands, sink into the hips, keep the legs working. And on the left leg, pull the knee up, the foot in, and then reach it back out again. Same on the right. So the hip, left hip, let it lift. And we can drag the foot in. Sometimes if the leg's exuberant, it kind of steps in. Now, when you get the left in, just pause for a moment, hook the arm around it, just hug the leg. See if you can settle into the hip. So we usually start with a lot of weight on the straight leg, on that hip. Now, the bent leg, the upper leg, just see if we can work our way down into that sit bone and see if we can end up with the weight more even in our sit bones. Okay, so from here, still support this left knee, move the foot forward, and just allow the leg to release out. So think of the heel here being in front of the socket. Or come in just a little bit to the sit bone, about a 90-degree angle, a place where you're able to work with the knee gently turning out, the straight leg gently turn in. So go back to the weight through the hips. We're going to lift. As we sink the weight in the hips, we're going to lift. We'll take the arms forward, rotating. And then let's reach up tall. So we want the shoulders, shoulder blades to move up and help bring the ribs up, even though we're sinking the hips down. And once we find that in the back body, release that arm down off the straight leg and just rest it there. Straight leg's active, turned in a bit. This arm lets go. So connect that straight leg, the foot, to the straight arm. Find that diagonal working through the core. Okay, let's release. So we'll bring that upper arm down. Once the arm is down, this bent leg, push out the heel, straight leg, right leg, just pull in, hook with the arm, and give some attention in the hips. Get the sit bones a chance to both sink down, staying lifted through the core. And now we'll still support the knee, but we'll move the foot forward, knee opens up, and then we'll let the leg release to the side. Okay, gently going outward with that leg, straight leg rotating inward, arms come out in front, rotating. We'll bring the arms up by the ears, pushing up. And really work with the weight in the hips. It gives us a lot of feedback about creating, unbalanced misalignments, so we can try to work as even as possible in our hips. And when we feel we've got there with a long back, simply release that left arm down onto the leg. The upper palm, the straight leg, connecting hand and foot. Okay, let's release that upper arm down and push out that leg. Bring the hands in front, soften the legs a bit, and just both knees, handful of times. We'll get them moving. They're going to change their distance. Just let the body find it. And then we're going to come onto the mat. So we'll pull the knees up. We'll take ourselves down on our back. Once you're on the back, flatten the sacrum, and then just bring the knees up and take hands to knees. So if we had the knees about shoulder width apart, legs relaxed, just balance weight on the sacrum. Now bring the knees close together and let's roll to the side. So coming onto the side, take the lower knee a bit lower and bring the top knee up a bit higher. So if you think of this top knee touching the ground a little higher up than the top of the hip here, and the foot's hooked behind the lower leg. Now this lower arm, just rest it down toward the knee, and the upper arm, take the hand at the back of the head. And we'll turn the face toward the ceiling. I'm going to put the head down on the mat. So let's tuck our tailbone. See if we can use the support from this upper hand to help us keep our neck long. On the lower arm, the lower shoulder, see if you can relax the arm and shoulder. Now that upper elbow, let's take it across to the other side, but keep the hand behind the head so head turns, move slowly. So head and upper back rotating, elbow coming, and so it's pointing to the lower side. And then slowly turning back again. And then see if you can release the shoulder blades a little more toward the mat. Keeping the tailbone tucked, the lower arm released. Use the eyes to look down the top side of the body. And that bent elbow, that upper arm, ease it outward. Now, let's slide the hand out from under the head so we can rest the back of the head down, and then extend that upper arm alongside the ear. Rotate and press out. And then take that upper arm out sideways, away from the ear. So take it wide, just above shoulder height. Just explore where that is. So the shoulder's comfortable. See if we can let the weight of the head rest down. And then that upper arm soften. Let the elbow bend. Let the arm come back alongside the torso. And then let's come on to the back body. So we're going to return fully onto the back, the knees bent, the feet flat. And then draw the knees in toward the shoulders. Flatten the sacrum. And then bring the knees close together and roll to the other side. So on the side, the bottom knee goes down a bit, the top knee moves up, it's a bit higher than the hip, and that top foot, hook it behind that lower leg. Lower arm, just rest it against the leg. The upper arm, take the hand behind the head, and we'll put the back of the head down, resting on that palm, having the neck long, the tailbone tucked, eyes looking downward. And reminding ourselves to relax that lower arm and shoulder. And now that top elbow, we're going to move it over to the other side of the body. We're just rolling on the hand as the head turns, the upper body turns. And just come to the place where the weight shifts. You can feel the weight come onto that lower shoulder. That's probably far enough. We're not trying to strain in that shoulder. And then when you're ready, slowly heading back, bring the head onto the palm, the eyes looking down, and that upper shoulder softly pressing outward. Okay, that hand behind the head, just slide the hand out. Just take it up, let the back of the head rest down, and then extend the arm alongside the ear, rotating, pressing outward. And then move the arm away from the ear, just above shoulder height. And then soften the arm, bend the elbow, bring the arm back to the torso, and then let's release onto the back. And then draw the knees up. We'll have the hands holding the knees. And just finding our own place for a couple of breaths. Now let's move the knees wider, about shoulder width. Keep the sacrum flat, lift the feet up, and then use the hands to support the knees. Let's create a handful of circles in our ankles. I want to do these circles going in both directions. And then let's relax the ankle, and we'll take the feet in circles around the knee. So we can keep working with the sacrum here, gently press down, working with the neck, keeping it long, using the eyes, looking downward. And then simply relax the lower legs, have the hands on top of the knees. And with the hands, take the knees wider and then circle them close. And switching directions. So we circle in both directions, working with the sacrum. And then slowing down, I'm going to bring the knees in toward the ribs. And then let go of the left and let that left foot just land on the mat. And then use that right hand, slide down the inside of the right leg, get hold of the heel, and take the right foot up toward the ceiling. Keep the right knee comfortable, doesn't have to be straight. Let the left leg go a bit longer. And then let's let our weight shift over to the right, and we'll gently push outward through our right heel. And then soften the right knee, rolling onto the back, switching hands. And let's take the right leg over to the left side, and then pressing out through that right foot. We'll pause here again. So explore the neck. We want the face toward the ceiling, the eyes looking down the top side, and tuck the tailbone. And reach down that left leg, come down to the outside edge of the foot, make a bit of contact to the ground. And then let's soften the right knee, bend it in, rolling onto the back. And we'll hold both knees for a breath. And then let the right foot land down on the ground. Take the left hand down the inside of the leg, get hold of the foot. We'll take that left foot up toward the ceiling, and we'll let that right leg go a bit longer. And then ease the weight to the left side, push out in the foot. And then bending the left knee, rolling to the back. Switch hands. We'll take the left foot over to the right side. We'll keep the face up toward the ceiling so we can let the shoulder blades rest down. As the neck long and the eyes looking down our top side, tucking our tailbone. And now soften that left leg, bend the knee, roll to the back. And we'll get the hands on both knees. So simply supporting the legs, having the sacrum flat, we'll get a couple of big breaths into the low belly. And now let the knees just slide out from the hands and the feet land. The knees just gently resting open, arms away from the sides. And then stretch down one leg, then the other. Simply resting on the breath, letting the body release on the ground, letting the body breathe freely. Now let's move again in our fingers, our toes, moving in ankles and wrists, reaching through the arms down the legs and lengthening, stretching along the back. And with an exhale, we'll draw the knees in, take the hands to the knees, rocking side to side. And taking ourselves to either side, bringing ourselves to sitting. Namaste.